Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Who was the worst teacher you've ever had? Her name was Mrs. DeSecchio. She was my first grade teacher. Absolutely nothing but awful and rude to me, and made me sit by myself every day, make fun of me, and have other kids make fun of me with her for answering a question wrong. She tried to get my mother to put me on ADHD medication. This was absolutely out-freaking-rageous because I was an extremely docile and well-behaved, quiet little girl. She just had it out for me. So, I had just moved to this school and started with no friends because she estranged me from everyone. I had no confidence. My mother stepped in and tried to have me removed from her class. When Bitch Sacchio asked why, my mother responded with, "I think she would do better with someone a little more maternal than you are." This made Bitch Sacchio mad. I couldn't be removed from her class because it was too late on the year, and from that point on she made my life a living hell. I don't think I had recess after that. I didn't have any free time after that, and on party days, she put me last, so I had the last choice of the cake and juices and stuff. I dreaded going to school. I did absolutely nothing to deserve that bitch. I had a math teacher who literally didn't teach math at all. He just wrote the numbers on the board for the problems we had to do in the textbook. All class long he would just sit at his desk on his office chair and stare at his computer. And every time he had to move around the classroom he would just roll around in his office chair waddling his feet against the ground. Every time I turned in work he would just stare at the paper for literally 3 seconds, make a huge check mark on it with his pen, and write down 100% in his grade book. He never checked the answers. I tested it one day. A friend and I wrote penis for a few answers on our work and made him check our work. Did he notice? Nope. Did we get an A? Yup. He had the counselors make me skip pre-algebra and go straight into an algebra I class. Had no clue what I was doing. I had a history teacher who was a major dick to everyone. There was a guy who was born on February 29th, and this teacher constantly bullied and harassed him. This teacher said, "Oh, you're only 4 years old. No wonder you're so stupid." What do you know, that guy ended up leaving the school in the next few weeks. Anyway, I aced all the exams, and I ended up with a big fat B-. Very poor book decorations, he said on my report. It was history class, not fucking art class. Grade 8 English teacher. You know how every kid says to their parents, "My teacher just hates me" when they get a bad mark? This actually, I swear to this day, was really true. This teacher really just truly hated me, and I have no idea why. I wasn't a troublemaker, I didn't talk in class or make smart-ass comments, he just didn't like me for no reason that I'll ever know. Anyways, we had these journals that we had to turn in every week. One week I didn't get mine back, and he said I got no marks for my journal because I didn't turn it in, except, yes I did. He called me a liar and said I would have to purchase another journal and just turn in next week's assignment. Oh, we couldn't just use regular journals, we had to have these special stupid ones that he insisted on for some reason, because I tried to hand in the next assignment on paper and he refused to accept it. For a few weeks I kept asking him to return my journal, and he kept telling me that I was a liar and getting zeros for my journal entries. I was afraid to ask my mom to buy me a new journal because my parents used to be fairly cheap, and I thought I was going to get in shit for supposedly losing it. So one day when my teacher left the classroom to go to the bathroom, in front of the entire class, I marched over to his bag, rifled through it, and found my goddamn journal. I turned it in the next week with a journal entry, and he never said a fucking word about it. But that wasn't even the end of it. Shortly after that we had an essay assignment. I poured my heart into this, and on the day we got our marks on it he came into class and loudly proclaimed in front of everyone another F. I don't know how you can turn in work like that to me, you are now failing the class. I was beyond mortified, I literally ran out of the class crying. It still upsets me to this day. Mr. Tom, grade 11 math teacher. I never had less than an A in math before him, and never had less than an A after him, but in his class I got a D. He pulled me aside and said, "I heard you say you want to be a physics major in university. You should reconsider, since you're just not a very good math student." Biggest mistake of my life was listening to that asshole. He was investigated and fired for misconduct and incompetence after his math classes scored an average of 25 to 30% below the provincial average for 3 years in a row. Fuck you, Mr. Tom. Other was a second-year modern lit prof I had. We studied 12 novels, and 10 of them had female protagonists who killed themselves at the end of the book. We had to write 2 term papers, and she didn't accept my second one because I wrote them both on the 2 novels that didn't involve women committing suicide. I appealed to the department and got an A in the course over her objections. She wanted everyone to take the course seriously, and I wasn't doing that according to her. Fuck you and your weird fetish crazy old professor lady. Probably my 10th grade geometry teacher. She openly admitted to the class that she hated teaching math, that she'd gone to college and gotten a degree in English but was stuck with teaching math instead, etc. One person in that class got an A, 2 people got BS, a few got CS, and everyone else either barely passed or failed. She'd also mark your test answers wrong if you misspelled a word, even if you got the actual fucking problem right. I had to go to summer school, where the guy who was normally our PE teacher taught geometry, and I fucking aced it. I couldn't believe how easily it made sense to me when he taught it to me. I had a professor in grad school that seemed to have forgotten that the point of teaching a class was to in fact teach, not just belittle the students in it. If you asked him a question, he'd tell you to Google the answer because it was below him to answer it. We weren't allowed to work together on homework because he didn't believe in that. If he got especially frustrated during class because we weren't performing at his level, he would throw whiteboard erasers or pens. He told us to buy one textbook, then only assigned homework out of a different book, which we were allowed to check out from him for 24 hours. 4 of us, one textbook, engineering students, frequently only had 48 to do the assignment. Would frequently go on rants about how terrible education was here and how he was a much better student than we are. There was no learning in that class, just survival. My sister had a 6th grade teacher who was the mother of one of my sister's classmates. This girl was somewhat popular. So anyway, for my sister's birthday she was having a girls-only party on a Friday. She gave out the invites and she was very excited. Friday rolls around and nobody shows up. On Monday morning my sister has to go to school and face everyone, which is pretty traumatic in and of itself, so my sister was feeling shit. During morning lineup this teacher comes up to my sister and tells her, in front of everyone, "You know why nobody went to your party? Because I threw my daughter a party on the same day and I made sure nobody told you about it." English was always my favorite subject in school. I even loved the shit most kids hated, scrutinizing passages to identify themes and symbols, analyzing the author's use of language as tool why they used a particular word instead of another word. Until 12th grade AP English. My teacher was an imperious beanbag chair of a woman 100 years old if a day who decided your final grade by the average of 5 analyses of classic literature turned in over the course of the semester. I was excited about it until I received my first paperback with a C- at the top. I remember panicking, scouring the paper for gaps in my analysis only to see that she had marked off 25 points on the bibliography alone. I had cited all of my sources and included all the metadata required, but the formatting was incorrect. -5 for missed indentation here, -5 for not double spacing there, -10 for not italicizing the publication. I met her after class and brought to her attention that she had made no comments on the scope of my analysis but had knocked off 30 points for formatting, and that seemed, in my opinion, to be missing the point of the exercise entirely. And that's when she said the thing that cemented her place as the shittiest teacher I've ever had. "You don't actually think I read all these, do you? 400 pages of literary analysis a month written by 12th graders? God, no, I'd kill myself. I'm scanning for grammatical accuracy and format." I didn't read another book that year. I copy-pasted analysis from the internet, formatted it, and ginned up bullshit bibliographies for books and articles that did not exist. I aced all the rest of the analyses and finished the class with a B+.